Oh, it's so good to be here again. And I've been spending a little bit of time just looking around, looking at all of you on the edges and at the back and in the corners and the sides and in the middle, and just seeing the smiling faces and the nodding heads, and absolute joy to be here with you again. I'm Jenny Steadman, and I'm here with my very dear friend and business partner, Gillian Coutts, and her husband, Steve Quinlan. And we're delighted to be here in conversation together. So before we get into it, I just wanted to give a little bit of background. So as William was saying, Jill is a really loved member of the Happiness and Its Causes family over many years. And she has been a presenter here and has been an MC and has been a panel moderator and has been doing this in conversation. And then on 20th of June last year, suffered a severe stroke. But first of all, let's give you a little bit of a sense of Jill pre-stroke. So we've got here some photographs, and in this particular photo, Jill, at this presentation at Happiness and Its Causes, Jill was talking about how she had breast cancer with a newborn baby and the lessons that she learned in happiness going through just having to do the chemo and the radiation and the surgery and having a newborn baby. This was also part of that same presentation. There was another presentation. This one was about the lessons in leadership, to lead in a way with mindfulness and compassion and awareness. That's part of what we do at Potential Project to help organisations to adopt that. She was giving that presentation, and here's another one of Jill on stage at Happiness and Its Causes. And here's one of her actually, a little bit of a snippet of Jill presenting at Happiness and Its Causes as well.
There's 100 of you on this boat and you're training for a competition. And you are the captain, you're the leader of this boat, your coach. It's your job to get this group in peak performance. And so as you survey your crew, you notice that down the front, you have 13 people who are going for gold, rowing their hearts out, doing a great job. Think, awesome, want them. Then you look towards the back of the boat and notice that there's 24 people who seem to be kind of rowing in reverse. Think, what's that about? And then in the middle, there's a group of people that kind of have their oars in, don't have their oars in. A couple of them are they're beating each other over their head with the oar. One guy's giving up his oar all together, and he's watching cat videos on his phone. And you think, geez, I've got to get these guys ready. What am I going to do? What are you going to do? As the leader of this boat, what are you going to do?
So a little bit of a snippet of Jill speaking at Happiness and Its Causes not that long ago. And as I mentioned, 20th of June last year, Jill had this severe stroke, and she was then in ICU in a coma for the next month, and then after that spent 8 months in hospital. And here's one of Jill and Steve when she was then out of ICU, but she was still at this stage unable to speak. She had the tracheostomy tube in her throat, unable to walk at that stage. And here we are, like 18 months later, on the stage of Happiness and Its Causes again.
We can move on.
We can move on. All three of us are not going to be able to talk if we stay like that. And so Jill's come a long way. Speech is still impacted, though that's improving a lot. But none of us are going to be able to speak right at the moment, I think. Cognitively, absolutely fine, and mobility is still a challenge. So I guess my first question is for you, Jill, which is that, we've heard this morning about being with the difficult. And, you had breast cancer. You were with the difficult. You did all of that life examination, and you changed your diet, and you changed your career, and you started meditating, and you did all of that introspection and had the life lessons. And so now a stroke, it's like, really? Really? Do I have to go through all of that introspection again? So what's been your sort of take on this, Jill?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to speak very well, but I feel I've like, what the hell? Really? What the hell?
Like, really?
And I think that's part of this journey to find out what next.
Yeah, to find out what next with this. Yeah, because it's not just a one thing that happens and then life is rosy thereafter. And yet there's been a lot of beautiful things that have come out and through this as well. So we will get to that. We'll get to that. Perhaps we talk about the day of the stroke. I know that you went to work. You were due to speak at a conference, similar to this, and then got a headache. And then it got worse and you needed to lay down.
Yeah.
What was your next memory?
I think it was a month later.
A month later.
That I was at the hospital, and they said, I sort of had this memory of a person like me talking, not talking more, knowing someone was there, and things started to be more clear. So I got it started to become real.
Yeah, wow, this is actually not a dream.
Yeah.
This is real. Steve, I want to bring your voice into this. Like, I know what you would, that week, that was the last week of the two of you working, and then you were heading off on this 3 months of planned travelling around Australia together with their son in the camper van. What happened for you then at that time?
Well, it was a massive change. Obviously, like as you said, we said goodbye. Jill was so busy that week to see everything off. My mind was all about, have we got everything for the camper and all the stuff, so I'd sort of switched off work. And then I got a call later in the afternoon to tell me what had happened. and then you just, like, focus just changes. Like, we had to make some decisions, life-threatening decisions. So in the morning, everything's happy, planning. In the afternoon, all the focus just comes down to Jill and James.
Their son, James.
And that's right. But, over that next week, it was, you just focus on what you had to focus on. Focus for Jill. We had family. We had a whole lot of people around us. We had amazing support available. But we just literally just focused on a few things. But then as the month went by, we could see changes in Jill and more relief for us was happening. But it was a pretty big change.
It was a pretty big change. It absolutely was. And like, I visited Jill in hospital every week, as I know Amy, who's a friend here, did as well, who's at the back there. And so we got to see these little bits of changes, and it was just so heartwarming to see that there was this progression and this change going on. And then that led eventually, like, I don't want to be jumping straight to it, but it did lead eventually to being in rehab. And so months, like altogether 8 months in hospital, including this time in rehab. Let's have a little bit of a look at some of the things that Jill was doing in rehab. We've got a video here of her in the rehab hospital.
Music.
And then another one here, now outside of hospital, but practicing walking. And see that beautiful positivity? Did you hear what she said? Yeah, things are looking up. Things are looking up. And then, of course, we got to have the opportunity together. Just 2 weeks ago, Jill and I went to Cyprus, and she had the opportunity to attend some really groundbreaking treatment and rehab there as well. I mean, and as a bit of a side note, but as though things weren't kind of confronting enough, we also had the situation on the plane on the way over where a passenger seated nearby us died during the flight. And that was it's just again and again looking at these things that are challenging. And yet here we were in Cyprus. So Jill, this is of you doing the swimming. And again, listen to what she's saying at the end of this. And what a beautiful location. She's saying, I did it. And then finally, this one as well. Practicing walking on grass.
Now, lean towards me and stand up with the left.
Yay! So, Steve, for the family throughout all of this time, can you tell us what's been happening and how have you all managed and how have you kept your happiness throughout all of this?
Yeah, well, I think from very early in the stage, when we sort of started really thinking just for Jill, and then we started seeing changes, and as you can see through here, over a period of a year or so, of since the stroke, massive changes. And Jill has been just so amazing. And in the first week or so, I could tell, even though Jill wasn't really cognizant of being awake, I could see in her eyes determination. And then the determination has gone through to swimming and tumble turns and walking without sticks and things like that. And so all of that for us has meant a huge amount of relief. So the family initially, it upturned our world. We had to move houses. We had to, James was going through from primary to high school, so we moved schools for him. So it was a huge amount of change. But we had a lot of friends supporting us through that as well. And so we saw the change in Jill had a huge impact on us. So where we were focused, we started opening up. And happiness started coming back to us as a family in lots of different moments and lots of different ways with people around us and the connections we have around us.
Yeah, that's been one of the big bits. And I would love to get to that. I want to ask you, Jill, what did that being able to travel, but also like being at an organisation that just sparked hope as well. What was that like for you to be a part of that amazing treatment over there in Cyprus?
I think what's been interesting of having come out of the rehab is the ups and the downs of getting used to the stuff. For example, having carers, so carers 7 hours a day, every day, and needing those carers, and so sometimes life is pretty shit. Like you feel like it's pretty shit, but the people that have supported us, and so people have come and had lunch with me every week and things, and just really working up the anyway. Thank you. But that it reminds you that life is good, and it can, and even with the possible that can be good.
Yeah.
But in Cyprus, it was interesting because before then, you kind of get on a new level. Like you might get from the chair full time to a bit of the walker out sometimes and stuff. So things are getting better, which is great. But in Cyprus, there was people who were there that had been 2 or 3 times. But they said, look, when I came like you, I was exactly like you. I couldn't talk well. I can't speak. I'm sorry. I can't get my legs to work, and I get my arms. It's stupid. But keep going, and you will be better every time. And over the next few years, life is going to change. So that was really like that. So the possibility of hope was amazing.
Absolutely. And you said last night to me, it allowed you to dream of a new life, and seeing the others who have moved on, who've had that progression. I mean, this is just so relating to the great talks that we've already heard this morning about getting happiness through the challenges, being with the challenges and facing those difficulties. And we could see that others had gone through that as well.
Yeah.
And there they were with all of that. And so I want to talk about love. I would like to hear you two talk about love. Now, whether this is the love between the two of you, or whether it's the love with friends, and we've got others here as well who have been the recipients of so much love from Jill, and who are so keen to be providing it back again. Tell us about love.
Me first. Well, look, I think even prior, we've obviously got a lot of love together. And I think in what happened, that just bubbled up even more. So we got even stronger connection through it. So obviously love has really helped us, carry through. But we've also experienced it in so many other ways, through connections. I mean, in the first couple of days, these sort of things you expect a lot of people to start reaching out but I had no idea how many people would reach out. I mean, literally, the number of people filled this sort of place.
She's got 1 million friends.
It was incredible. And that was from work, it was from friends, it was from different groups, families, a whole lot. And even for me, with Jill, sleeping away, I wasn't able
Sleeping away.
I wasn't able to manage that. So, each we formed a group of angels. We had other people stepping up to assist us. And that for me, over the journey that we've had, has made me think about how much love and the different types of love there are, apart from the connection we have, but from other people now they want to share and help and love. And it's made a huge difference for us.
Yeah. And Jill, what about for you?
It's going to be different.
No, I don't agree with what you're saying.
No, I think that's a real, and I think that before that, I think I was in a situation where I loved you, but I wasn't in love with you because we've had 20 years. So like, love's gone. Not love's gone. Sorry. But you're like this is really real. Like
People get it. We understand. Yeah, we're not alone.
And it's because once I had lost everything, really, I had to rely on you and James and all the people around us to do like basic things, like really, like, and what I found was that I think I remembered that I love you, and I'm in love with you. And there's all sorts of like just having to you had to wash. No, you have to get like all the sorry, the like for 8 months you feed James every moment that he needed food. You fed him, and that's just it's such a small thing, but it's like you became both the man and the woman. and I never expected that. If I'd thought, what would I feel that Steve would become, I would have said a good man of the man he is. But this was so much more. So I'm going to stop.
You couldn't.
That's enough.
You probably couldn't see it, but there was this beautiful wink from Steve to Georges, which I could see, which was lovely. I guess now I want to ask you about the light bulb moments throughout this. Either of you.
I'll try. I'll try, and then you might need to finish. So before the stroke, I was pretty okay with life. Like I felt like we were doing well, and the happiness and the compassion and mindfulness and all of that stuff was going really well.
What we do is part of the business.
And I so that was there. And when I first became sick, I think mindfulness and compassion got me through an awful lot of hospital, and then rehab, and because I was just my brain wasn't working, and my brain was working, but my everything here couldn't work. So
Yeah, the speech. Brain's perfectly fine.
exactly, except at the start when it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
And it was getting better. So I thought, well, I'm okay. I've got mindfulness. I've got compassion. This is surely going to be a breeze. And I think the further we got into rehab, the more I was like, well, I don't know even that I want to study mindfulness anymore, because I can't see what the hell it's doing for me. And of course I had to keep doing it, because apparently we
That's what
run.
we teach. That's what our business is.
But like 4 months, I didn't sting, and it was so. And so, of course, I went back to it, blah, 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 blah. But at Cyprus, I didn't know I didn't know what was going to happen. And then we were there, and I suddenly realised, when you go, like you walk into a new situation and you figure that, like, it's a bit too good to be true, and if it's, I'll be the one of the people who just, it doesn't work for me. I was one of those people. It was so funny. And
You were sceptical.
that's right. And I was listening, and what I suddenly realised was I could be someone who doesn't who doesn't expect something will happen for them. And I can be another person that is open to it, and maybe something will happen, but and so I could be two different people at the same time. And I went, oh, that's wow, that's a moment, that's a light bulb moment, and it probably actually it means I'm being mindful or understanding myself a little bit more in that moment. So it's like, oh, thank God. Like it was just a whole bit, a new level of meaning that I had refound.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so that awareness of I can have these different thoughts, and there can be different possibilities, and I can be okay with that.
Yeah.
With the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the possibility.
Yeah.
As well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did well?
Yeah. Did you want to?
Yeah, just another take on that was just obviously prior to the stroke, Jill led lots of meditation, practiced a lot of meditation, and so for me, I'd see it every day, like constantly. From sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning right through to 9 o'clock at night, there'd be lots of this meditation going and mindfulness going on. Obviously, the stroke played a bit of havoc with that, and what I noticed was, a little story I just thought of when you're talking was, whilst Jill was in this sort of induced coma, I thought, well, I'll read some poetry or books to Jill. And so I went in there, I chose this book and started reading, and quite quickly, just from the eyes, I could tell she was not interested, did not want me to read. And so I was sort of observing, over a couple of weeks, and what I realised was Jill had this muscle memory of mindfulness, but she didn't. It was getting her through the fact that she didn't need to practice or teach for it, but it was still happening. Like she was able to, over time, start realising that, what's happening, this is happening. And she was in an observation space within her own mind. But if you tried to say, let's meditate or do something early, it just wasn't going to happen. I'm spending too much time in my mind. But I could definitely see a progression. And now, obviously, you're starting to do more of the meditation, mindfulness. And so it's just been building up. But I think if you hadn't done that previously, it would have been different.
Yeah, like you say, that muscle memory.
Yeah.
So I probably want to end on now the topic of acceptance, because that's just such a huge thing through all of this. Like that ability to know the things that we can change or influence, and then bringing acceptance in for those things that we can't. And I remember there was one day when I was visiting Jill in hospital, she still couldn't speak at that stage. I remember holding your hand, but she was in the stroke ward at this stage. And there was a man in the bed opposite her who had obviously also had a stroke. And I felt for him so much, and you did too, because you were trying to indicate with your hand to go and help him. But what he was doing, he was, with his hand that did work, he was grabbing his metal cutlery and throwing it over the floor, and he was getting his hand that didn't work and was banging it against the bed. And I was just like, this challenge of being with the difficult. So you've had to be with the you went through the difficult with your breast cancer, and you were saying to me last night, here now what you're doing is having a lifetime now. Like this impact of the stroke is something that you're facing for a lifetime now. How are you with this acceptance aspect?
I think the reality is that I know that acceptance is the only way to face it, because I know the theory as well, but
that helps. That helps.
but actually, it's so obvious when it arises, and sometimes I don't want to accept it. I want to sell it. Just I want to sell it. Tell it to fuck off, because I don't. I'm just like.
Yeah.
But actually as well, you kind of like, you have to have acceptance, but you also have to be hopeful, and you have to be actively hopeful. So at the same time, it's that active hope is like going out and finding how I can be hopeful. What is there you able to be helpful in this situation? And so I think I know that a really part of what you've got to do is keep looking for what actually you can go and make happen. So, for example, if you're doing your exercises every day, it's active hope because you are creating what you will live into, but it's all you can do today is the exercise, and then you sort of accept is, well, you've done the best you can, and that's active hope as well. So, sorry, that was a lot of active hope, but anyway, it's just a really acceptance and hope.
Acceptance and hope, and I love that active hope. It's what steps can we take? Yeah. I mean, we're pretty much at the end here, and I do want to take this chance to say that post-cancer, pre-stroke, Jill co-authored a book called 1 Second Ahead. I wasn't organised enough to get a photo of it and put it up on the screen like everyone else has done. But Jill will at lunchtime be signing that. And this time, for her first time, in signing her left hand, she's right-handed. So that will be an extra special book for you to be getting, worth even more.
Oh dear.
And no, that's great. Steve, I know I haven't given you a chance to say anything about acceptance. Is there anything that you would want to add there as well?
I'm always happy to add. Look, I think just to Jill, for me it was acceptance was an enabler. I guess if I got hung up on anything and I didn't accept it, I just didn't move, whereas allowing it and just being in the moment, and then just it enables so many options. And I think over time, that's just helped me and us go through and broaden ourselves out. And, we had that little story about the friends that wanting to help. And, it started off, I couldn't really think of how I could do everything every day. So I sort of accepted some help.
Yeah.
And then I realised actually by me accepting the help, it meant the people who were helping felt
They could give. Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Well, Jill, it is so wonderful to see you back here on the Happiness and Its Causes stage. It's beautiful to see you here with Steve. It's a joy for me to be here with you as well. And I want to thank each and every one of you for the support that you've given, and just, even if you didn't know Jill beforehand, this love that we can feel here in the audience right now. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Thank you. You good?
Yeah. All right.
Need your...
I feel like lost for words. I was just thinking one thing, and I'm not going to get emotional about it. If you've known, I've only met Gillian a few times on the path. Every interaction with Gillian is everything that's coming back to her now. I just was so struck by what you were describing of who's showing up. And that's who you've been every time I've ever met you. So it doesn't surprise me who's coming up for you right now. And I also felt really privileged that you would be vulnerable to share your story in the context of this. So I only wish for everything you've given out to so many people. I'm guessing it's coming back to you in ways that have only just started. That have only just started. So could you thank our panel again, please? Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Okay. I'll start. Yeah. Now, I'm not being rude.